Good morning, friends. With us on duty today are the Peter group, which is 10 number 4, the Kazakhstan group, and Kyrgyzstan as well, Nuremberg, Ashkelon, and we are 10 number 11 from Petach Tikva, Nuremberg, please.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to also sit together. These are the friends as they sit together and are not separated from each other. At first they seem like people at war, wishing to kill one another. Then they return to being in brotherly love. The Creator says about them, behold, how good and how pleasant it is, brothers, to also sit together. The word also comes to include the Shekhinah with them. Moreover, the Creator listens to their words, and He has contentment and delights in them. Again, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to also sit together. These are the friends as they sit together and are not separated from each other. At first they seem like people at war wishing to kill one another. Then they return to being in brotherly love. The Creator says about them, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to also sit together. The word also comes to include the Shekhinah with them. Moreover, the Creator listens to their words, and He has contentment and delights in them. Zohar, Acharei Mot. Question for our workshop. How great is the importance of the group and the Creator that I came to the morning lesson with? Again, how important is the greatness of the friends and the Creator that I came to the morning lesson with?
How important is the Creator? How important is the group? What else is there besides? A person is given the conditions necessary in order to become Adam, a human. And after he thinks he may do something alone, he understands that without the group, he can't do anything alone. So the means become as important as the goal itself.
Yeah. It's a great privilege to sit together with friends who understand this, have the experience, gives lots of confidence. And really, the greatness of the Creator and the group is immeasurable. Because I feel
ואני ממש מודה לבורא ששם אותי כאן. כן, וההודעה הזאת היא לא סתם, כי...
Yes, and this gratitude is not for nothing, because without you, I have no chance to come out of myself or truly want to adhere to the quality of the Creator with love and the quality of bestowal. And it's tied together. I thought about it this morning on the way here. You're almost never given some awakening greatness when you get up in the morning, and every day you need to seemingly start this work anew. And I thought, why can't you really get up in the morning with greatness and inspiration? Always. And the conclusion was that this is work given onto us to every day, begin it anew. And a person starts what he starts, and he comes to the society and is just immersed in it, washed by it. And so it is every day.
How important is the Creator? The question is, if I came at 2:30 to talk to the friends, I have some importance, otherwise it wouldn't happen, because still, it's the middle of the night. So I remember that I had days with lots of importance when I went to sleep, and I didn't get up on time. And now that I try to listen to the friends and really make an effort to ask, annul, is it that my importance depends on the importance of the friends? If they have the importance, I'll get up for the morning lesson. I don't know how is it possible to measure importance, but I'm really glad that we're here together.
In the group and the Creator, the question is about the group and the Creator both, because the group allows us to help us not be delusional of how much we actually love the Creator. If we're in the group with so-so relations, these two things together need to remind us of one another. If the Creator is important, the group is important. If the group is important, the Creator is important. And it's part of every day we need to go together.
I know that this is how everyone feels, because everyone makes tremendous efforts in order to arrange his entire life so that what we're doing now will be the center of his life. That we're getting together, trying to draw the upper force for us to come closer to him, to be like him.
Look at the importance of the group and the Creator in relation to, well, what do I need? What do I want to gain from them? Soon there's the Mondial, the members of a soccer group. They're very important to one another, and where there's a goal, the Creator is also important. We have a different kind of importance that we ascribe to the friends and the Creator. I need them in order to exist, in order to develop and grow. And the Creator is set as a goal. It's a kind of code name, an objective I need to reach. Not what I want to get from Him, but how do I become like Him. And also the friends, if you look at them to see how great they are, they stand before you as a goal, and you ask, how do I become like them?
It's a wonder that there's such a pool of light that you can connect to, which is the tent that you can simply dive in and be filled with new discernments and be washed upon all the opposite discernments, and to add to that, by that adding to the general effort, it's really true spiritual kli forming here, and it's already in our hands.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. אלו הם החברים בשעה שיושבים יחד.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to also sit together. These are the friends as they sit together and are not separated from each other. At first they seem like people at war wishing to kill one another. Then they return to being in brotherly love. The Creator says about them, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to also sit together. The word also comes to include the Shekhinah, divinity, with them. Moreover, the Creator listens to their words, and He has contentment and delights in them.
שלום חברים, אנו מזכירים כאן לא משתמשים בטלפונים בזמן השיעור.
Hello friends, we're not using our mobiles during the lesson. Anyone having a question, please stand up and ask your question loudly and clearly. On the first part of the lesson, we're going to read chosen passages regarding the work in faith above reason. The next part will be Tas, first volume, and the last part will be Bala Sulam, the teaching of the Kabbalah and its essence.
So
we're continuing with the series of lessons regarding the subject of work and faith above reason. We're going to continue with item 35. You can ask questions live on CAP TV, and selected questions will be asked during the lesson.
Faith above reason is actually the entirety of our spiritual work. One who does not yet receive this illumination called faith from above does not feel, nor does he know what it means, what it is. And we need to make efforts, more and more efforts, in order to receive this illumination. But when we receive it, we understand that there is a force through which we can perform acts of bestowal. And without seeing to whom we're bestowing, this illumination gives power and confidence to do everything above our vessels of reception and what they demand. We also understand by this illumination that all of our vessels of reception, our perception of reality, our disposition towards facts, the need to be founded based on something, to rely on something in particular, it's all founded on our vessels. Not that it has an actual basis in nature, but that's just how the vessels of reception are built. And when the illumination of bestowal comes, which is called faith, it holds the person in a state where he doesn't need to see, he doesn't need to know. He actually prefers to perform his actions and without knowledge, without feeling, but only in order to maintain this illumination called above reason, faith above reason, and so to advance. We don't know what this is. It's the upper nature, the nature of the Creator in the upper world. And we just want to aspire towards that. Aspire to it. And let's hope that we get there. We've just heard before the lesson that people, the students, the friends who assemble before the lesson, they feel that they hate one another. And afterwards, they come to love one another. Do we truly feel that we hate one another? And what form of hatred is it? Which we do need to feel, apparently. Some kind of necessary state on our path of development. On the path of development. So that's my first question. What does it mean that we need to hate one another, and afterwards, thanks to the reforming light during the lesson, by sitting together and making an effort, this hatred becomes love? What kind of hatred is it? Please.
I heard that this hate should be toward the points in the heart. From what I understand, the spiritual hate is against the point in the heart.
What kind of hatred is it? First of all, sometimes we hate less, sometimes we hate more. But it seems to me it's a kind of rejection, repulsion. It's looking at, you see how egoistic and prideful the friend is, and this causes you to reject him. And the work is exactly where the Creator shows you what you need to correct. Shall I continue?
I think before every dose of light, the ego prepares itself with hate. It as if feels that something's entering its turf. When the friends come closer, on the one hand, it feels good on part of the desire for spirituality, and it's really repugnant on part of the will to receive, that now has to erase more and more parts of itself. So I think what we're feeling is the beginning of the hate. It's not exactly what it says in the Zohar yet, but...
Yes, and it's hatred towards the will to receive. During the study, that hatred becomes fuel for the demand, for the request. Because this hatred is simply a recognition of our nature.
And when you get up in the morning and you're not in awakening, You're not in itpalut. You have to restart the engine. You work on autopilot. Then you gradually come here. You start finding that point inside yourself that's really important for us.
Rav, the hatred stems from the fact that I must do something which is very conflicts with my nature, contradictory to it. I get up in the morning again and again. I need to go to the group. I need to think about the connection again, about unity, about love. All these things which are entirely, completely opposite to me. And so when I arrive, I have hatred, repulsion for what I need to again and again do. And until when? How long will it last? I don't see in the horizon anywhere where I want to connect with them until I receive an illumination from above, which I have not yet received. So I come to a state of hatred towards the state itself, the teacher, the method, the friends, the group. I want to burn everything, to kill everyone. It's a good state, apparently. If the book of Zohar describes this as a state which comes prior to the reception of the Torah during the study. And then, only out of this great rejection, repulsion, I come to the prayer. I sit together with them. I make an effort to somehow overcome this condition, to reach some measure of connection. I hold myself in the lesson. I feel like running away, either from the first part or the second part or the third part of the lesson, or do something else. And then, slowly, gradually, when I forced myself out of my effort, due to my effort, the reforming light comes and connects me to the general, collective effort. And so again and again, for several days and years, until I receive an illumination called faith above reason. Let's talk about that. How do we, if we paint the right picture for ourselves of what we need to do, it's certain that we'll come to hatred and then try to invert it into love. So please.
The desire to receive doesn't want to reach the hatred. It likes the state of indifference, not touching anyone. You with your stuff, I with my stuff, don't touch me, I'm not going to touch you. And the more efforts we make to come closer to each other, we can see that we're not as close as the Kabbalists intend us to be. And it seems as if the work's going to last forever if something dramatic is not going to happen, like the light will come and make some kind of change. And to be in a state where you're simply working full gas on neutral, it's something that really gives you an incentive.
Yes, for these kind of forces to awaken, you need to work hard on the connection, because otherwise you can really just go on living next to it and never to awaken this evil inclination.
Yeah, and especially when we begin the work, to feel gratitude, to be grateful to the Creator for giving us this special state every time. It redirects you to carry out this automatic action that helps you get back into focus regarding what the place of work is. It fills you with joy, and to simply carry out the advice of Kabbalists that really influence us, and to act out that you're inspired by the friends, to give them inspiration, and so on.
The hatred that we're talking about and what I've described is a hatred towards the state. Why should I hate the friends? They also got up in the morning. Where does this hate come from? It's unclear. They probably also have... it's the other way around. We identify with one another. We're in the same situation. So hatred towards the friends... I'm just, clarifying the issue.
As long as we have not yet come out of our will to receive to the will to bestow, to faith above reason, from reason to faith above reason, we have to feel the need to connect, to unite, to be as one man and one heart. All of Israel are friends. We have to feel rejection toward this and hatred toward all those that are participating. This is the true form. When we're dealing with attaining the state that we hate. If we don't feel that, it means that we're not making enough efforts. Is it true or not? Go ahead. Scrutinize the answer.
If I need to connect with the friends, it compels me to leave my comfort zone, my will to receive, where I'm only concerned with myself. And if I need now to do something against that, then naturally I'll feel rejection towards whomever I need to make a step towards.
It's felt that there is some kind of correlation between the effort that we make above the ego and the hatred that's revealed. If you're kind of doing what's comfortable, then there's no place for the hate to be revealed. But when you make the effort, then there, it really becomes revealed how much it hurts the egoistic nature.
Yes, the hatred is a response to the effort. We make an effort, we want to see some kind of response, and the response is that the true nature is revealed, who we really are, the will to receive, and it's expressed as hatred.
I can understand that you reveal rejection. Hate you can feel when we're working together on some mutual project, and because we have differences in opinion and so on, then you start feeling hate. But when we make an effort to unite, then what you feel is rejection. But I don't know about the hate. I don't see how that directly happens as a result of working on the connection, as if there's no direct connection.
There's rejection, opposition. There's self-love and opposition, and the opposite is hatred. I love myself, so the opposite of that is hatred to others.
The hatred will be revealed regarding the greatness of the goal. That you feel that if you don't attain the goal tomorrow, you might as well die. And that if the friends are indifferent, you hate them. And you feel that without them, you can't make it. and it's simply the end of the world. And, we feel kind of, okay, so if we don't do it tomorrow, then the next day, and in a year. So you don't really feel the pressure to hate the friends. You don't also really believe that your spirituality depends on them 100%. So you're saying, no, okay, it's not that bad. I don't really hate you.
I think perhaps we should be careful of interpreting corporeal hate and the principles of corporeal hate, which we all know, to apply them to spiritual hatred. We heard about the rejection, the lack of desire to begin this work anew, and the focus on myself, not to want to come out towards the friends. Perhaps that's the root of the true hatred. And when I invest and just
rub, were the Creator revealed, we'd hate Him too? That He forces us to work against our desire. He created the will to receive, and He gives us work that's against the will to receive. What could be worse than that? What could we hate more? He created the will to receive, and He gave us work to do against the will to receive. It's the source of hate. So, He's not revealed, but the students, my friends, with whom I have to perform this action, they become the people that I hate most in the world. Questions? Is this clear? Yeah. Only to the point.
On the matter of hatred, Ray from Florida asks, how does a student use the state of hatred in order to achieve higher revelations?
It's not something higher. It's not something higher at all. It's hate. It's a very big descent, which is necessary. I have to feel it. I have to understand it. I have to live in it, so that from that to gradually reach connection and love and demand their forming light and transcend to the very opposite thing, that the light excels the darkness. As much as darkness as you have, correspondingly the light. And we have to think, how do we work in these two ends? Any other questions? Yes, Moshe.
I don't understand how this connects with faith above reason. It's very obvious what you just described about hatred and love, but
what could be the other end against hatred?
Love, connection.
How will I connect? How will I love them? This can only be in faith above reason. Where did you ever see love, connection? By what force? We're talking realistically. What kind of force do I have to have by which I can connect? It is the force of bestowal that comes from above, called faith, and it has to be greater, more important, stronger than the reason, than my desire, than my ego, than my vessels of reception. Yeah?
The hatred is within reason. The hatred is in the bones.
Right. And then I need a force that's going to be above it, that will give me the importance of bestowal that it'll be greater, more important than reception.
It keeps escaping me.
Excellent. You're already identifying that it exists and that it escapes.
It isn't there. It's not that. It even sounds like, I don't want to ruin it, but it's like some kind of wonderland where I am.
True. Unrealistic. You're right. Everything's correct.
So what? How to act it out? How to bring it closer?
This is why we're talking about this for how long now? A week? 2 weeks? A week. So, after I've been trying to somehow bring closer to it in the past week, I see that we have to reveal the opposite state, which is hatred, which is something that's not working for us. We don't hate each other. We're indifferent. I can sit, I can talk, I can sing. Yesterday I watched the Yeshivat Chaverim. Everything's fine. You know, things are flowing. It's not good. This is not good. It is a sign that we're not putting in enough effort into the good in order to discover the bad.
On the topic of faith above reason, I feel on myself, and I also identify some rejection towards this topic. We've been chewing it, and we're not achieving anything.
Only a week, and you already had enough.
That's how I feel.
Very well, good. I heard this for several years, all the time, and I didn't understand. What is he talking about? Faith above reason, faith above reason. What is that? I didn't get it, I'm telling you seriously. I used to look at him like a dog looking at his master, not understanding what he wants.
So why not about the friends and everything that's happening here? Why don't I have this hatred? We do something for such a short time and immediately...
No. It can't awaken hate. We're in front of something that's unclear to us. Hatred can come on condition that you discover what you need, where it becomes clear to you what you need, and from the very bottom of your nature, you don't want it. You don't know what's above it, but you want connection. When I'm told that I have to unite, I have to connect, I really have to kiss my friend, and him, and to be like this, and to be like that. And I'm further told maybe change tense, that altogether it's who am I sitting with and how. And I have to bend myself again toward a new connection. So, I have to feel that I'm incapable of reaching connection. I don't want to. I reject it. Everything but that. And hate. The more, the better. Not that I awaken it artificially. I have to be drawn to the connection and love and support, and to see how opposite it truly is to my nature. And then against that, I will feel hate and rejection. But we have to discover it. It's the disclosure of truth. It's the revelation of our own nature. The will to receive becomes revealed then. Then there's what to pray for, against what to work. Otherwise, you don't have anything to work with.
Ken.
Yeah?
Разобраться в механизме ненависти. Можно немножко?
I want to scrutinize the mechanism of hatred, if possible. I compare the effort and the reward.
I don't think that it's correct. To the measure to which my effort is greater than the reward, the more beneficial the reward is, I don't know. I know that what I have to do now is something that I hate. I can't do it, don't want to do it, and I don't have these calculations whether to give more or to give less. It's something that I can't approach, I can't touch it. It's like fire. It's something that's so repugnant that I can't even do the math regarding it. I can make different calculations. If I do some work, I get a reward, and then I can calculate, is it worthwhile or not? I have to reach a state where I can't approach the connection, that I can't realize it, I can't think about it. This means that the hate awakens, such hate that if I can make some kind of compromise here, then okay, I'll do some kind of connection, it's not that bad. That's not hatred.
I thought that this future sensation, it's about experience.
No calculations here. I'm telling you, in hate and love, there are no calculations. There's simply emotions, a feeling that's above all calculations. I hate him, I love him. That's it. That's what we have to come to.
There's only vessel and kli. It's a simple mechanism. So
my will to receive is 100% opposed to connection. This my kli. Astana.
Did we understand correctly? That hatred always has a cause, and this cause is my ego. The rejection, my ego rejects it.
Yeah, I'm forced to carry out actions of bestowal, work on the connection, to the point of love. To sit with the friends and hug and do something. I do it artificially, but that's not connection, and it's not love. You have to do the right calculation. I do it because I have no choice. Where here is there a real heart-to-heart connection that I feel that it's against my will to receive. My nature is the will to receive. If I talk about the connection, then this is also something that I have to understand, that I'm talking out of habit, that I'm talking out of what it says, that this is how it's supposed to be because otherwise I'll be thrown out of the group, that one way or another I want to reach the goal and so on, but to really carry out, realize the connection, I feel that my heart simply doesn't allow me to do it. And so, when I come to the lesson, and the lesson is first and foremost connection before the lesson, like the students of Rabbi Shimon, and I'm willing to burn them, kill them, but not love, not unite, connect. This is the true form of the revelation of the corrupt kli that afterwards we have to correct. Gershon, leave me alone. Try to feel it in your heart. I'm not answering. Not answering. Try to feel it. That's it. Whoever won't feel that won't be able to feel what's against it. Peter. Good morning, Rav. Good morning, World Kli. Question. Do we feel the hate when the faith connects with the reason?
I don't know what it means faith connects with reason. I don't understand that. It happens in spirituality, and this depiction is called an angel. But within the will to receive, it cannot happen.
Where
was the stana? Yes, Peter. Another question?
Where can I find the strength to go in faith above reason and not expect any kind of reward?
If faith above reason shines on you, this is a force holding you above the vessel of perception. And you can, with that power of belief, of faith, to bestow, to make calculations outside of your will to receive for the benefit of the society or for the benefit of the Creator. It's such a force that comes from above and allows you to stop working within your will to receive, but rather with your will to receive to serve others. How? One who receives it feels and understands what's it about, and one who doesn't needs to listen and hear, so by that to gain some kind of yearning for it. I won't let you ask. Do you understand? I don't like you. So, if I told you not, and still you continue, you don't understand and you don't need to understand. I don't want to give you. It's an example. I want to make an example to the others. If I say no to a student and he keeps saying yes, the opposite, constantly, continue. It doesn't matter to me. But you just mark yourself out as someone special. Contrary. I don't have to comply with all of your, answer every question you have. Yes, Gil.
Renar from Argentina is asking, should I take my gloves off regarding the feeling of hate toward the friends, or should I take my gloves off in regards to my relations with friends?
No, that's a different question. I feel hatred, rejection, because I have to perform work with them which is against my desire. I wouldn't have hated them if so. I hate them because I need to connect with them. I was told from above, love them. And I feel that I can't. I don't want to. I can't even come closer to them. And that's why I hate them. I don't hate them as people do in general, like other people. I hate the action which I need to perform with them. That's what I hate. So what are you asking about that?
Maybe in other words, suppose there's hate. They write nonsense on the WhatsApp. They commit to come to the lesson and never do. I don't know what.
No, that's something else. That's something different. Hatred awakens towards them because they want to engage in love, and I don't want it. It's not that they write nonsense over the WhatsApp. How does this belong to? It's not a source of hatred. Actions which are against my will to receive. They say, let's connect, let's love, let's sit together and embrace one another, and I cannot tolerate that.
What do I do about it?
Think about it.
When I feel that.
I don't know. Think about it. What can you do? Your will to receive does not purify. It remains as it is now. The method of Kabbalah tells you that you must achieve connection with them. You have no choice. Only through the connection with them will you begin to discover the upper world. Right, so no choice. They tell you, come to us, let's connect, we're waiting, we're expecting you, and you can't go to them. You can't come any closer to them. You can't sit next to them. You can't. Right? They appear to you, as Baal Sulam describes there in the revelation and concealment of the Creator, that they're the most despicable and so. You can't. It's not that they're really like that, but because they're engaged in connection, that's how it appears to you. And you understand why that is. Yes? So?
I don't know, you don't even want to turn to the Creator in this situation. Sometimes you're so immersed in the hate.
Yes and no. If you see that there's no choice, you're in a corner that you can't escape, then you start to pray slowly, gradually, because it's like a pit that you're in and cannot escape. Yes.
And any feeling that's not with respect to any other feeling that I have toward them that's not regarding the connection, it's just ego?
Again?
Suppose I don't see that they're making some big effort to connect. It's not because of that. I hate them due to other things that they do.
That's not important. It's also included in it. You hate everything that belongs to pertains to the group. Those things barely subsist. Barely. You choose some corner to remain in for a time, so maybe it passes. So maybe you can do something. You can't participate in the act of connection, but out of a lack of choice, gradually, helplessly, you cry out, what can I do? What to do? And that's why I'm concerned. I'm concerned that there's not enough hatred here, meaning there isn't a recognition of evil. And why? Because you don't push yourselves towards connection. So you don't feel a resistance towards connection.
Many times I see that there's some kind of hate or rejection, but that we're trying to find ways of how to escape it, how to change your 10, switch tens.
No, to switch the tense, it's in order to invoke even greater rejection. So, in order to start making calculations, otherwise we're not even making calculations.
No, I'm saying friends want to swap tens because they don't want to cope with the hatred they have in the 10.
No, the hatred there isn't the hatred that comes from a rejection of connection. There it's just hatred between people. I don't like his face and I don't like his behavior and something else. It's a simple egoistic rejection, repulsion, not spiritual. Not because I need to connect with him. That's what I mean by not spiritual. Is that clear? Yes, Itzik.
Both in this world, it said that from hate to love, there's just one step. This I don't get.
I'm not talking about this world.
How does hatred lead to love?
It's clear that this is the way it is because these properties are the most prominent in the will to receive. When it reaches one end, when one reaches one end, he scrutinizes the other end, and you can't have one without the other.
So what follows is that it contradicts the equivalence of form.
Against equivalence of form and for equivalence of form, yes, correct. And there is a very short jump from one to the other. Astana.
Almata, that's on duty, is asking, should we, if I'm in a 10, if I go to the lessons, if I participate in everything, is that supposed to protect me from the hatred?
No. For now, people receive this repulsion, but it's not a repulsion that comes out of them making an actual effort to connect. They receive this repulsion before the efforts, they just don't want to connect. It also has to do with spirituality, but they haven't heard enough, they did not understand enough that it all needs to take place on the path. That's why right now I'm explaining this. You can ask why not before. It wasn't the time for it. The state wasn't as it is. Yes.
Yerganat and Maksat from Almaty are asking the same practically. Is it possible to quickly cross from hate to love, which are two completely opposite states? Because usually it's something that, it stretches out simply time, friends can't quickly make the shift.
We have to, if we discover hatred between us, we have to immediately and together to scrutinize its origin and what we need to do with it. Hatred is a spiritual force. It's the revelation of the will to receive, which King Solomon called an opponent, a hater, an enemy, perhaps. And therefore, it's a revelation. We need to give thanks for it. We need to be glad that we have this revelation of the will to receive in its true spiritual form, which is hatred towards connection. Again, I don't just hate where, I don't like him because of his eyes or ears or something, or how he conducts himself, but only because I have to connect. If not for the connection, I wouldn't hate him.
Nuremberg.
שאלה של יורגן מגרמניה.
Jürgen from Germany is asking, if a friend feels hate and he can't rise above it, and he wants to leave the group, the hate is so big that he wants to leave the group, how should the group respond to this?
The group should respond to a friend who wants to leave because he hates everyone. The group should respond in such a way where everyone sits together and clarify the situation, including that friend. Why does he want to leave? He hates everyone because he's forced to connect, or because of some other reason. If it's because he's compelled to connect and he hates that and he's incapable of doing that, then this friend is very good to the group, and you need to explain to everyone, to him, that this state is a blessed one, that he's now in the same state as the students of Rabbi Shimon, and that he's standing before a huge spiritual jump towards the next spiritual level. However, if he hates the group because of other things which don't pertain to spirituality, because hatred is the only thing that hatred pertains to spirituality. If he has a different kind of hatred, then we need to examine it. Maybe he doesn't like something else, but everything else, everything other than hatred due to connection, it's all external factors, and they can be sorted out and fixed more or less. Right? Good.
You said that when hate comes, we sit together and scrutinize it. You told Kostya that, when there's hate, there are no calculations. It's just a feeling.
No, you don't calculate more or less. Hatred is hatred. Yes.
So how can you work in this state?
I don't know. Well, let's say there's some guy here who had a fight with his wife. Do you know such things happen? So Itzik knows. Yeah, he can say. They just get angry at one another. They shout. They speak in such a way where no one is listening to the other. No one's listening. Do you know of that? All the time? All right. No, he wants to say that it's all the time either hatred or love for 40 years with that guy. Well, what can you do? This is life. It's life. The sense, action. Right. So what do I want to say by this? So you understand that in such a state you're not hearing anything. You're not listening. There are such moments at the peak of the state. You're not hearing anything, and you have such hatred where you can kill. And then the opposite, such love where you don't want to hear anything, just to feel the connection, to feel the love. It's something that both hatred and love are states where there is no calculation, there is only pure emotion. That's why the will to receive in itself, in its pure form, it cannot make calculations. It only feels.
So, in such a state, how can you scrutinize anything?
You can't. That's why you have friends who can, alongside you and with you, to connect and to sort of blur that state, ameliorate it, and add all kinds of facets. Yes, all kinds of different facets to the hatred, to the love, different states. And so to help scrutinize it. But actual hatred or actual love, those exist only in the pure will to receive or in the pure will to bestow. That's... why do we say faith above reason? Because if there's reason, there's no hatred and no love. It's all obfuscated. It needs to be above reason, both hatred and love, without calculations.
Okay, theoretically it's clear, but once you reach such a state in the tent that one of the friends or some of the friends experience this kind of state, how do you really agree to sit down and scrutinize these matters?
Well, here you need to find some ways, some obligations perhaps. It's not simple. But this is, the technique of how to come to compromise. Compromise is about how we attach to these sensations, these pure hatred and pure love. How do we add reason to it? Where does it come from? Why? What can I do with it? When I leave or don't leave, can I reach some attainments or some goals in my life or not, and so on. The main thing is to understand that it's written about and it's a desirable state. It's the complete opposite to spirituality, and that's why it's a great thing. It's the inverted spirituality. It's inverted spirituality. Well, I have astana. What can I do?
Wim from Kazakhstan is asking a collective question. What we just talked about, so practically a person, he can't scrutinize when does true hate erupt. It's like you need to scrutinize it in the group in order to help him acknowledge what's going on.
Yes, you need to think of how you can achieve a true desire to connect, and opposite that you'll feel hatred. We always walk the right line. always connection, always positive. Can you say that? To something good. And correspondingly, evil is disclosed. We never go out to seek the bad. Never. Even when as an old person, I search for what fell, what I lost. I lost a deficiency, a lack, which is good. We'll talk about it. But we don't seek out hatred. We search for connection. If we're truly directed towards connection, then we'll feel hatred towards it. Towards the connection itself, and as an outcome towards the friends and so on. I don't see the friends then. I don't want to connect. I reject it completely.
Peter.
Да, вопрос от Тимура.
Timur was asking, if you're not willing to make the effort or experience the hatred so much so that, what can make you take that step toward the hatred?
Again, please.
What do you do if you stop one step before the hate?
If we don't discover hatred, we can't advance onwards. It's a sign that we're not yet pressing on the connection enough. The advancement, what is it about? I'm pressured. Pressured towards connection. I discover that I don't want it in any way. And then I come to the prayer. It's a simple thing. And we're stopping halfway through. We're not pushing towards connection. We're making all kinds of forms here, all kinds of... we can just continue living like this for 20 years, and so the steps aren't... how to put it? They're not powerful. Not powerful. Yes, Peter.
Maxim's asking, how can we define that the friend is working with the hate and help him?
That's a technique which I don't want to delve into. To help him, well, primarily we need to strengthen ourselves with the knowledge that to feel hatred means to feel our will to receive, our evil inclination, which is the actual pure will to receive, because we feel it in relation to the connection, in relation to love. And that's why at long last we've come to discover it, to feel it, it's something special. It's a revelation of the angel, of the power of the Creator, the anti-creator, you could say. He created it. We're touching on the foundation of creation, the will to receive, which comes against connection in the form of great hatred. By the way, as we continue to ascend the spiritual ladder, we will discover hatred, which is more powerful every time, and more increasingly harsh, perhaps. Yes.
Nuremberg.
Moscow
is asking, what do we have to focus on in order to discover the evil? And also we want to relate it to Victor's question. How long do you have to be in this feeling of hate? Because on the one hand, it really depletes you of your power. On the other hand, you understand a lot.
Why is it important that it depletes your strength? We need to discover it, but to discover hatred directly is impossible. We can only do it by pushing towards love. But we have to discover it. Without hatred, you won't have prayer, you won't have the revelation of evil. And that's why you're not in this prayer, the request. You're in a state where it's not so bad. I'm advancing. I hear a few new things. I do these workshops. I'm advancing towards the Congress. But actually, in spiritual observation, spiritual discernments, are we advancing or not? And this is what we're discovering now. That I lack the spiritual degree and I cannot achieve it, I cannot climb it because I don't need help. I don't need help, I don't need the Creator, I don't need faith above reason, because I'm not discovering my nature. Well, yes, Alex.
Question from Italy.
In Europe, we suffer for control or power. Is this state similar to hate? And how can we use it now in preparation for the Congress?
Yes, of course, control is also, dominance is also about the will to receive, and it really obscures the matter of connection for us. But, well, we need to work on it. Again, I repeat, domination really obscures the spiritual work, because each one thinks that if he's in charge, well, he knows how to do things better, how to carry out spiritual actions better, and by that he just shuts his eyes and doesn't understand where he is. Control or dominance, it's a very bad thing. It's very bad. Imagine to yourselves dominance in the 10. You have many 10s, Europe and so on. It's obvious that in Europe you have many groups and each one thinks he understands better and they all want to dominate. They don't even understand that they want to dominate.
It's a problem. It's a problem, and still, we must, in an external way, show each one towards the others an external desire, just an external desire to connect. I am willing to connect with the others. Doesn't matter under what conditions, just to connect. Let's find a contact. After we have that contact point, let's think about uniting it. Let's think about the quality. Don't think about the quality before there's some kind of contact. So first of all now, the main thing for us is to be in some kind of connection. He's in control, he's in control, he's speaking like that. Each one try to just relinquish for the connection. That's what's important for us in Europe now. Peter.
What is the shortest way to reach a prayer from that state of hatred that we're talking about?
If a person feels that he is really rejected from the group because he is demanded to give up on himself there, to annul himself, and even to love, to get close to the others, to hug them, to be with them in some kind of emotional contact, heartful. If he feels that he's really repulsed by it, then in a direct way, he won't be able to take care of himself. He just needs to really break his heart towards the Creator. The Creator created his heart in such a way, in such a stone, and he, with his stony heart, can't get close to connection, to the demanded connection. If so, he has nothing left. Till when? As much? When will it happen? On one hand. On the other hand, if he is in a society, and he shows them that he hates society because he can't be in connection, society must withstand him because he's not harming. It just shows them that basic point of the will to receive, and that they will have to correct it. Okay? Yeah.
I'm trying to think, really. It's really easy for me to hate my wife. I feel like burning her. I come here.
I think every husband can explain this. That's why you came to study Kabbalah?
Yeah, this is why I ran away to this place. And you tell me, look for love and hate the friends.
No, only look for love. But if you will truly search for that connection, you'll see as much as you're opposite than the connection and you hate it. You can't think about it. You can't even listen about it.
I'm trying to identify, you tell me search for love and hatred will come. I'm trying to identify what can bring me hatred to a friend. I know that at home, it's a good example.
Commitment to connect brings hatred to the friends.
Yeah, but when I live with my life who hurts my own personal interest and I hate her so much.
So you want to say this, that to connect with us and connect to the Creator and discover the world of truth, the soul, that for you is something very external and unimportant. There, when you, in some way, in which way she made you an omelet, or that's the end of your life.
So let's stop cooking here, and then we'll have hatred towards the chefs and start with there. But there's a problem here. As you say, we shower here plenty of love and tapping, and I'm trying to locate that hatred, but it's impossible to hate someone the way you describe it. Can we reach such hate of feeling like running away from here?
I read in the Zohar that it's possible, and look what people it happened to.
So how can I reach such hatred?
You can ask, but I'm telling you a fact. What are you asking about? Zohar tells us about hatred. Anyway, briefly, work on yourself. Work on yourself. And at home, whatever happens, it seems to you that your wife is touching your soul. And then you jump. And here, no, it's spirituality, the Creator, the next world. Just like that. Scratch it a bit. What'd you find, Dudi?
It's from Zohar for all. When you go out to fight your enemies, it is written, Israel neglected the good, and the enemy shall pursue him. Israel neglected the good, that is the good inclination. King Solomon called it good. As written, it's better to have a poor child and fall all king. An enemy shall pursue him. This is the evil inclination, man's enemy. King Solomon called him enemy, hatred. It has many names, as written, if your enemy is hungry, feed him with bread. And bread, lechem, this is the Holy Torah. As written, go fight my war. 2. Therefore, man should put words of Torah on the evil inclination, so it will break. For there is no enemy to the evil inclination except for words of Torah. And therefore it is written, and those things that I am commanding you today shall be on your heart, meaning on both your inclinations, both your hearts. 3. Why does the good inclination need the words of Torah? Because the good inclination is crowned with words of Torah, and the evil inclination is subdued to words of Torah. 4. Therefore it is written, for you shall go out to fight your enemies. That is the evil inclination. We have to go against it with words of Torah and to burn it, and then it will be given to men. As written, and the Lord thy God gave him to your hand, and you have put him under captivity.
Okay? Yes, Moshe.
You said that hatred is not within reason. It is above reason. There can be no hatred within reason.
Yeah.
That reason, I understand, is the will to receive.
Your brain.
Yeah, calculations. Therefore, you said it can only be above it.
Hatred below reason, let's say. And love is above reason. Reason is that I can calculate something. While hatred and just an outburst, there's no calculation. It's just a feeling, just a sensation. Why did I say this? To show what the Creator created. He created a quality. He created the evil inclination. The inclination is a desire. There's no brain there. There's no mind. It's just a desire.
So it turns out that both love and hatred are above reason.
Yes, you can say that. Without reason. If the feeling alone is in control, so there's no place for reason.
And what's the connection between disregarding, and hatred? Is this an expression of hatred?
No, we're speaking about all kinds of form of hatred, but it's not spiritual hatred. Spiritual hatred is against connection.
As I said, if I understand the definition, when you look at the friends, you see that they have strength and they connect and they do everything and you hate it.
Yeah, but it's hatred of competition. It's not the true hatred. That can be anywhere, in your workplace or wherever, in your office, whatever. The true hatred is towards connection.
But who is the subject of connection? These are the friends. This is where it is expressed.
Yeah, and I hate them. But why do I hate them? Because I have to connect with them. It's hatred to spirituality in this.
So if I did not commit to connect, so I cannot hate them either.
So I don't hate them. Yeah, Yeshivat Chaverim, great. There's a 10, good, we'll sit in a 10. We're speaking about something, oh, me too, blah, 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 I'm speaking.
In different ways, like indifference and disrespect, it's before hatred?
Yeah, it's a simple thing.
This is because lack of commitment to connect?
Yeah, it's a lack of inner commitment. It's not that I have to sign a contract. It's all internal, that I come to a state that that's it. I understand that I have to connect with them, and I'm signing that covenant, because otherwise I won't reach spirituality. And I understand that this is a must for this to happen.
Again, question from Nuremberg. how necessary and important is the time of preparation to overcome hate and distances in Europe. How to equalize each 10 in Europe to be a 0.
First of all, we have to scrutinize in Europe what distance we're in, that this distance is because they're French and they're Germans and they're English and Italian and so on, that all those forms won't even be a reason for rejection, because that it obscures everything. We have to understand, we have to reach a state of one nation. On one hand, that we yearn through one source, that we're under one force, so we are one. That's it. And when we need to see ourselves, that we connect ourselves in force to Babylon before the shattering, and after we neutralize all of the thousands of years of development outside of Babylon, and we want to come back, as it's written, that it was one nation and everything was united in Babylon, then we'll start feeling towards that state in Babylon before the shattering, we'll start feeling hatred towards that. I don't want it. I feel good to be in my own little corner with my language, with my culture. I don't want to connect, even though we're not actually giving up on anything here. The connection in the international groups doesn't demand people to leave anything, not their language, not their culture, not their education, anything. It doesn't matter. We are going to go in connection above all differences. Love will cover all transgressions. That's why in Europe we have to try not to obscure these states, not to blur them out. We have to scrutinize them. As much as we need connection, we have to have it. And all the differences, leave them below. They don't disturb us. I don't even take them into account. Everybody remains the way he is. But above that, he has a tendency to connect each and every one. It really stands out in Europe. And if we join them, all of us, the whole world, what, in America it's not the same, just in different styles, and in Israel it isn't? You see all the breaks we have in Israel. There's such divisions. There's so much problems. They say that every Jew has to build 2 synagogues, that in one he'll pray and in the other he won't. He's divided into hate and love. That's how it is in all of humanity. So we have to help and integrate in them, and all of us together reach a state that we're all one. Babylon. Let's learn what Babylon means before the shattering. I really hope that we have some time. Let's prepare ourselves for this, okay? Yes, Chaim.
How can the Europeans do this connection above all differences? Because they really don't speak the same language.
they have a board, or how do I say it? When they speak, when they instantly translate it to all the languages, they have no problem with that, right? They have that connection. I don't know. And they speak, they understand. The translation works well. That's what I heard. I don't know.
So technically, this is a system of simultaneous translations?
Yeah. And except for that, it's in the hearts. Hearts.
No.
Yes.
A sign for hatred being revealed, is it general silence that paralyzes you, where all of a sudden you don't want to hear each other, you don't want to talk to each other? No, even during the preparation to the workshop, we did not answer the workshop's question. We just didn't answer it, not because we didn't want to. We were paralyzed by this cloud above us.
There are states, I can't answer this.
You started by saying this morning that you reached a conclusion that there's not enough connection between us, and this is why there's not enough hatred between us. What did you mean by connection?
There is no tendency to connect, and that's why the hatred isn't being revealed against it.
So how all of a sudden you saw yesterday that there is no connection between us?
Yesterday, suddenly I see it. What?
You just said this morning.
Time has come to speak about it. Because we can't rise above reason if we don't see what state we're in below.
This hatred is given to us by the Creator, or we create it by ourselves? Or does hatred come to us? Is it a gift from the Creator?
We awaken it between us when we press on the connection. So we start feeling a force that comes against it.
Does it come from above, or do we create that hatred?
What do you mean comes from above or doesn't? It's on air level.
We create it?
When I press towards connection, I get a response.
And there's no danger in such hatred that we will break apart?
So break apart, if you ask me. If we were not advancing, why should we stand here? What should I do with aging students?
Naturally, there's fear.
You have fear. Sit at home with your wife and...
There is fear. Even my tent, we don't want it to break apart. All of a sudden, one is insulted, the other one runs away.
So work on that security belt.
And how exactly do we do that?
I don't know. There's no wise like the experienced. Try it. You're old enough. You understand what you're standing in front of. Try and perform actions of connections and see as much as yes or no. And then against that, you have prayer for the Creator.
Which certainty do we have that it won't happen? What kind of certainty? Where do I get such certainty that what will hold me, that something will hold me that we won't break apart?
You won't get any confidence, because if you had confidence, you won't succeed. Yes.
Hatred, is it related to envy? There's not enough envy, perhaps? This is why we don't reach hatred?
The envy is in there inside. The main thing isn't to reach hatred, it's to reach connection. But on the path to connect, you discover that you can't, that you're not built for it, that you're built through your evil inclination to hate the connection. You have to see the connection in front of you and the hatred towards it. When you see the connection in front of you, that is a spiritual goal. And in the connection, you discover the Creator, the adhesion in Him. And against that, you discover that you hate it. and then you have truth. You discover your true state.
So it's not related, not reaching a connection because there is no envy between us?
Envy's on the path. It's one of the components of our advancement. Clear? Alex, what do you want?
It's a question from Bernd from Nuremberg. Is it necessary, or can we transform this hatred against friends to make it to hate against our will to receive? And if yes, how can we help each other?
It's only by the light that reforms. Only by the light that reforms. I discover hatred towards the friends and to the state of connection. Better to say more towards the connection that I'm obligated, and then to the friends that give me that state. And when I get the light that reforms, I can start hating my will to receive, and against that, to rise to faith above reason. Okay. Should we go to study of the 10 Sfirot?
Moving on to the next part of the lesson.
We are
reading from the study of the 10 Sifrot, Volume 1, Part 4, Istaklut Pnimit, page 258 in Hebrew, Chapter 1, Item 6. You can send us your questions to kab.tv. Selected questions will be heard in the course of the lesson. Item 6. The last two zivugim dehaka'ah are for the following partzuf. All these three kinds of beatings are for the purpose of the partzuf itself. Though the haka'ah, the striking, and the bitush of the reshima with the or chozer on each other is for the kelim of the following partzuf. Similarly, the haka'ah of the or malchut on the reshima is for the purpose of Kli Malchut of the following partzuf. Thus, it's been clarified how the first three kinds of haka'ah, beatings, are for the needs of the partzuf itself, and the last two beatings are for the needs of the following partzuf.
And that is clear to us, that in the cascading from above downward, the purification of them Partzuf is already for the next Partzuf to come out.
Chapter 2, 12 kinds of Or Chozer. The general Or Chozer rejected from Malchut becomes the Or Makif, surrounding light. Item 7. We find 12 kinds of Or Chozer in the Ari's words. Here they are. The first is the Or Chozer rejected from Bechina Daled during Istaklut Aleph, when the Masach detains the Or Elyon, the upper light, and does not let it expand there. The Or returns backwards and closes the 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar, direct light. There are two kinds of Or Chozer, reflected light, to discern here. The first is the collective or rejected from clothing Kli Malchut. There is a great measure of it, especially in the first Partzuf De'ak we are concerned with. It consists of all of the entire difference between the Ein Sof that fill the entire reality and Partzuf Ak, which is but a thin curve, a thin line of Or compared to Or Ein Sof. Know that this Or Choser contains all the Or Makif, surrounding light in all the Olamot.
Meaning all of this first rejection is also called reflected light, and it becomes the surrounding light, the Or Makif of the Partzuf. So that's the greatest light, because it's before all kinds of calculations for internal, before that division in the light.
Adam 8, Or Choser that closes the Or Yashar is an outcome of the first Or Choser rejected from Malchut. The second kind of Or Choser, reflected light, contained here is the Or Choser that ascends from below upward, clothing the 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar, direct light. There is great depth in that, as there is existence in the Or Choser rejected from Bechinat Daled, meaning the actuality of the Or that is rejected from there. We must discern negativity in it, which is the force of Haka'ah, striking itself, procreating a great Or because of the retirement from the Or. It is a correlation between the Or that is rejected back and Bechinat Daled, which is left empty of that Or. This Or Choser, which born from the withdrawal from the Or, is the second kind of Or Choser, rising and clothing the 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar. Hence, it is considered an outcome of the first kind of Or Choser, especially from the negative Bechina, but through the correlation as mentioned above.
Let's say I'm sitting before the host, and the first light that I reject, it's the first time I'm rejecting anything. I don't want to be a receiver. The second light, I don't want to receive what's before me. Meaning, it is already mutual with what I have between me and the host. Keep going.
Item 9. There are two kinds of Or Choser, reflected light, Or Pnimi, internal light, and Or Makif, surrounding light, a great difference between Chub Tum, the Or Pnimi. The above two kinds of Or Choser are considered Or Pnimi, internal light, and Or Makif, surrounding light, of the 10 Sefirot de Rosh. It is so because that Or Choser clothing the 10 Sefirot de Or Yashar is a very small part of the collective Or Choser rejected back.
The first one.
As it is but an outcome and correlation of the Kli Malchut and the rejected Or. You already know that there are 4 Bechinot of Or Yashar, direct light, one above the other, called Chochmah Bina, Zer Anpin, and Malchut. And Keter is their shoresh, is their root. The differences among them are indeed great. Hence, the outcome of the correlation of the rejected Or with Bechinat Malchut is not like the outcome of the correlation between the rejected Or and Bechinat Zer Anpin, all the more so regarding the Bechinot above Zer Anpin.
Yeah.
Item 10. Ner and Chai are born out of the correlation between the rejected Or Choser and the Kachab Tum, the Or Yashar. Now you can understand the birth of the 5 Orot called Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. The outcome of the correlation of the Or Choser with Bechinat Malchut is called Or Nefesh. The outcome of the correlation between the Or Chozer and Bechinat Zer Anpin is called Or Ruach. The outcome of the correlation between the Or Chozer and Bechinat Bina is called Or Neshama. The outcome of the Or Chozer with Bechinat Chokhmah is called Or Chaya. And the outcome of the Or Chozer and Bechinat Keter is called Or Yechida.
Meaning that the Or Chozer that is rejected from the Malchut, when, well, it depends where Malchut is, at what degree. And according to that, the Or Chozer gets the form of Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya Yechida. Okay? Keep going.
Item 11. If the clothing Or Chozer is a result of the correlation between the rejected Or Chozer and Malchut, it is considered Or Nefesh. Now, the clothing Or Chozer over the 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar, was an outcome of the Or Chozer with Bechinat Malchut. Hence, the Or extending into these 10 Sefirot is called Or Nefesh. It is Bechinat Or Pnimi, internal light, of these 10 Sefirot, and the collective rejected Or Chozer is the Or Makif, surrounding light of these 10 Sefirot. Thus, we have explained two kinds of Or Chozer.
Ken.
There is something I don't understand here. This combination of correlation, what correlation is there between
two contradicting lights, orot, when they clothe each other? There's a mutual relation between them. Yes?
He writes here that there are two kinds of Or Chozer, and he divides them into Or Pnimi, surrounding light, internal light, and Or Makif, surrounding light. And we know that in Or Pnimi there are 5 Orot.
The 5 orot is in general. Here, it doesn't matter which one, but he takes one of them. He can't 5 orot, it's in altogether how it gathers in the Parzuf. Keep going.
Item 12. The third Or Chozer is that which is clothed in Malchut Derosh. It is the origin and the Keter for both the 10 Sefirot, the Or Chozer in the Rosh, and the 10 Sefirot in the Guf. The third kind of Or Chozer is the Or Chozer that remains permanently existing in Malchut Derosh, as the origin and the Ma'atzil, emanator of all the Orot and the Kelim in the Guf. You have nothing in the Guf that does not extend from that source. For Malchut, close all the Bechinot of Rosh in the amount of Or Chozer that she raises. Hence, she is thus considered Bechinat Keter and Shoresh, root,
to that Or Chozer,
for both the Orot Derosh and Orot the Guf.
because it clothes Minei Ubei, meaning Malchut of Rosh, is also the source for the Or Chozer of the Rosh, and also the source for the Or Pnimi and the Guf.
There is no hold in the Or without a Kli whatsoever, and since she begets the Or Chozer that closes the Orot, she is also considered the progenitor of the Orot themselves.
That's how we say that she gives birth to the Orot, but Malchut, what does she give birth to? But she divides it, and that's how she relates to that direct light. Where is Mekif and where is Pnimi?
Item 13. The fourth Or Chozer expands from Peh to Tabur, becoming Kelim to the Or Yashar, though incomplete. The fourth kind is the Or Chozer that expands the Kli of Malchut to 10 Sefirot from her and within her, from above downward, called from Peh to Tabur. Malchut of Rosh is called Peh. And Malchut de Guf, the 10th Sephirah of Malchut de Rosh, is called Tabur. Indeed, this Or Choser becomes actual Bechinat Kelim over the 10 Sephirot, the Or Yashar, that descended inside it from above downward. That is why these 10 Sephirot are called the Guf of the Partzuf, though they do not manifest as such because of the great importance of the Avyut, coarseness in it. In the example of the guest and the host, before he rejects, he has the thought of the desire to resemble the host by this action. So the question is, what is the Or Choser here? The action itself or the desire for equivalence of form?
The Or Choser is the desire of Malchut to identify with the host, to bring itself back to the host in all kinds of ways. That's why there's so many forms or shapes of Or Choser.
The action itself, the rejection itself in practice.
Rejection isn't light, it's action. By that action, that pleasure that he received, by that it's as much as he gives the pleasure back to the host. That's it. I can give the host pleasure, I can cause pleasure by receiving from him. I can cause the host pleasure by not receiving from him. How can that be? That I don't receive and give him pleasure because I prefer to be connected to him than receiving pleasure and distancing myself from him. Because if I get the pleasure, supposedly receive in order to receive, by this I become opposite of the host. So there's the matter of the Or Choser, that it can work in a way that supposedly rejects, but actually brings him closer. That's the whole matter of the Or Choser. Keep going.
Item 14. The fifth Or Choser is the Or Choser in Malchut de Guf called Tabur. The fifth kind is the Or Choser in Malchut de Guf called Or Nekeva. This is a real Ha'ara, illumination from Or Yashar, but it is a small Ha'ara, a small illumination, having only Bechinat Kabbalah, reception, without any power of bestowal, hence the name Or Choser. And remember that. Item 15. The sixth Or Choser is the one that expands from Tabur downward. The sixth kind of Or Choser is all that expands from Tabur down of the Guf. It is entirely Bechinat Malchut of the Guf alone. As the first 9 Sefirot of the 10 Sefirot that expand from Peh to Guf and on the Tabur. Malchut in them takes up the entire place from Tabur to the Siyum of the Partzuf. And though she is only Malchut, she is still considered to be expanding into 10 Sefirot. This is from the Bechinat Siyum of each and every Sefirah, distinguished in this place.
It spreads below Tabur. Yeah.
Item 16. That which emerges in the Zivug De'aka in the Rosh is not discriminated, but in the Guf. The Itpashtut, expansion to Malchut, is regarded as being from Peh to Tabor, and the rejection from Malchut is considered to be from Tabor down.
Meaning the Malchut and Rosh actually divides the Parzuf into two, and it determines the light that expands from Peh to Tabor, and what expands from Tabor to the Siyum.
Item 16. You must understand here that we have no perception in the 10 Sefirot de Rosh. It is so because they are Bechinat Ein Sof. And everything we discern in the 10 Sefirot de Rosh is but their Bechinat Itpashtut, expansion into the Guf. And the Elyon, the upper one, is studied from the Tachton, the lower one. We say that the Or Elyon expanded up to Malchut, and the Masach in Kli Malchut struck the Or, and did not let it enter Kli Malchut, and pushed it back. That this Or Choser clothed 10 Sefirot, the Or Yashar. This albasha, this clothing of the first 9 Sefirot, and this rejection from expanding in Malchut are discerned by us because they are so impressed in the Guf on the Tabor. The first 9 Sefirot from Tabor up are received and clothed inside the Or Choser. And the Or that belongs to Sefirat Malchut is rejected. It is not received in Malchut the Guf, which is the entire space from Tabor down. Since that Malchut had clothed all 10 Sefirot when she was in Bechinat Ein Sof prior to the Tzimtzum, prior to the restriction, hence the Or filled the entire reality, as written at length. For that reason, we also discern 10 hollows in Malchut that has been restricted, that are emptied of their Or, which they had in Bechinat Ein Sof, meaning in the place from Tabor downward. Now there is only Or Choser inside them. Hence, in Malchut the Guf we discern 10 Sefirot in and of themselves, as they carry the entire one that appeared by reason of the Tzimtzum. Because of that, the place from Tabor down is called Achoraim, back or posterior, for the lack of Or Yashar. The place from Tabor up is called the Panim, anterior, the Parzuf, because it is the place of the Or in the Parzuf.
Rosh toch sof. Rosh, panim, and achoraim. Keep going.
Item 17. The 7th Or Choser is what remains in the Parzuf after the Istalkur, the departure of Or Yashar from it. The 7th kind is the Or Choser that remains in the Guf below, after the departure of the Or Yashar from there. It is brought by the words of the Ari, when the Or Yashar returns up to its shoresh, to its root, the Or Choser does ascend with it, as the very essence of the Or Choser in Or of Istalkut. It has been explained above in item 8 that it comes from the Bechinat retirement of Bechinat Daled, which does not receive the Or because of the force of the Tzimtzum and the Masach that rides over her, regarded by its origin as Avyut and Din. When it becomes a Kli that extends and closes the Or Elyon,
so it doesn't just reject, it wants to receive.
These Avyut and Din are inverted to complete Zakut and Rachamim, until it is completely indescribable as low and dark compared to the Or Elyon clothed in it.
Because he doesn't just reject. By the rejection, he starts receiving.
However, during the Istalkut, the departure, when the Or Elyon expands from it and rises to its root, its importance expires and nothing more than its own essence remains of it, meaning Avyut, Tzimtzum, and Din. It is therefore clear that during the Istalkut, the departure, when the Or Yashar returned to its root, the Or Choser could not ascend with it. Moreover, Now its descent below has manifested, meaning the din and the avyut became apparent as it is by its own essence, for which it is the reason it is called Or Av. From now on, the difference is calculated in advance between the kelim that close the Or, meaning Or Choser, and the Or closed in it, which was not at all apparent prior to the Histalkut, departure. This is what the Ari says there, that this Or Av, coarse light, is the Bechinat Kelim of the Partzuf.
Well, the reflected light becomes a kli, because in it the will to receive is mixed with the reflected light. Yes.
Item 18. The eighth Or Choser is the above Or Choser, after having acquired additional avyut on its own avyut. The eighth kind is the above Or Choser, from the perspective of its reception of additional avyut to its own avyut, as the Ari says. It is so because besides the avyut that appeared in it of what it is in itself, there is an imprint of a new din, judgment, that is added, acquired by the current Histalkut, departure, which left it in the dark. Because of that, it is in double hitabut.
Read it again, please.
Item 18. The eighth Or Choser is the above Or Choser, after having acquired additional avyut, coarseness, to its own avyut. The eighth kind is the above Or Choser, from the perspective of its reception of additional avyut to its own avyut. As the Ari says, it is so because besides the avyut that appeared in it of what it is in itself, there is an imprint of a new din that is added, acquired by the current Histalkut, current departure, which left it in the dark. Because of that, it is in double hitabut, double coarseness.
Yeah, because he can't clothe the direct light, so another addition of avyut was revealed than what was there before. Before he had avyut from the Partzuf itself, and now from the light that he can't clothe it. What, Rachamim, what do you want?
Rav, איך אור חוזר הופך להיות...
How the Or Choser becomes Or Yashar?
That can't happen. Where do you see that?
I will ask it differently. How can Reshimo aspires to zero in oppositeness of form? It is Ein Sof in equivalence of form.
I don't understand those questions. I don't understand your questions. Where you're taking them from, I don't know. That's it.
Another question. How come the avyut becomes a mutual masach between the Or Yashar and Or Choser?
Avyut doesn't become a masach. Avyut is avyut, masach is a masach. Keep going.
By rejection and clothing as a result of building rosh and thought.
You're building sentences that I don't know them from tests. I don't know them from our studies. What can I do?
Can I ask some more questions?
No, we're studying tests.
Okay, thank you.
Put sentences together that... Yeah.
Item 19. The ninth Or Choser rises from the zivug da'aka on the masach during the degrees of its izdakchut, purification. The ninth kind is the ascending Or Choser through the zivug da'aka, performed on the masach in the degrees of its izdakchut, purification. The levels that come out in these zivugim are generally regarded as Or Choser, even the Or Yashar in them. This is because the zivugim, couplings, come out during the din, meaning during the istalkut, the departure of the orot to the ma'atzil, to the emanator.
Meaning, if the light departs from Matzil, so everything it gives birth to is also called Or Chozer, even though there's still Or Yashar.
Adam 20. We might ask, but there is Hitpashtut or Yashar, expansion of direct light from above downward into the Guf, in every single level, and it is known that all that extends from above downward is Rachamim. The thing is that indeed there is nothing more than a matter of Hizdakut, purification here. Even those zivugim made on the Or Elyon, upper light, are also included in the Histalkut, the departure of the Orot, as this is the conduct of Hizdakut. It must pass and come in the 4 Bechinot during its Hizdakut, purification. As the Or Elyon, which does not stop for even a minute, mates with it on its way. It is like a person who walks out of the house. Even though he takes, for example, 4 steps on his way out of the house, we still don't regard them as being 4 rests in his walk. This is completely unthinkable. It is impossible for him to exit the house except through steps, as that is the conduct of walking. So is the issue before us. Even though the Masach passes 4 Bechinot during the Histalkut, the departure, in which the Or Elyon mates with it on its way, it is still not regarded as Hitpashtut, expansion of Or Elyon into the Parzuf, as Rachamim. Rather, it is considered Din, because the time is a time of Histalkut, departure, containing 4 expansions on its way as well, as this is the usual way of Histalkut, and remember that.
Clear? So it turns out, say, comes out, it expands. Comes out again, expands. Comes out, expands. And that's how it goes through this zigzag. It comes out. That's why all those degrees, the small ones, that come during the general purification, because it's still Or Yashar, they don't count as Or Yashar. It's all called Or Chozer. Keep going.
Adam 21. Has been explained that even though there is a complete level of Rosh Toch Sof in each and every zivug, which comes out during the Hizdakut, purification of the Masach, they are still not regarded as Or Yashar, Rachamim, but as Or Chozer and Din. However, all this relates to the Atzmut, the essence of the Parzuf in general, suffering from the Histalkut, the departure of the Orot from inside it. Hence, it pays little regard to the levels that come out during the Hizdakut of the Histalkut of the Or. Nevertheless, regarding the values of the levels, meaning as the levels are in and of themselves, we have the opposite value. Every level that comes out by a closer zivug to the Ma'atzil, to the emanator, is better. That is because in Bechina Daled, only Or Nefesh comes out. And when it is purified into Bechina Gimel, Or Ruach comes out. When that is purified into Bechina Bet, Or Neshama comes out, etc.
Meaning we don't take those individual degrees into account, that they still, through the Hizdakut, they gather in the Parzuf, but to the next coming Parzufim, we'll see as much as they have a special role to perform. Okay. Where are you? 22? Okay, read 22.
Adam 22. This above matter of opposite value must be thoroughly and clearly understood, as it is the whole connection and the entire difference between the Or and the Kli. Hence, not knowing it will fail us every step of the way throughout the wisdom before us. The thing is that there is Bechinat Kli for the reception of the Or Elyon upper light from by the Or Yashar, direct light, which are the 5 Bechinot Kachab zone, or Neranchai. And there is a kli for reception by the Or Choser, reflected light, which are the levels also called Kachab, Zer Anpin, and Malchut. They are completely opposite to each other because the same zivug that generates the level of Keter, the Or Choser, meaning the greater kli, generates Bechinat Nefesh, the Or Yashar as well, which is the smallest Or.
Okay, let's go to the next part.
Moving on to the next part of the lesson, and before we do, let's sing a song together.
ביחס שלי אני המכריע, במקום לקבל רוצה להשפיע, תיקון אמיתי יגיע אלינו, בתנאי שאני אחיה עבורנו. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. היחס שלך הוא טוב ומטיב, ורק בזכותך נוכל להשיג, תכונת הבינה אלינו תשיב, נרצה השפעה כמוך נגיב. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. לה 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 בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפקוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים.
השיעור מבוסס על מאמרים מהספר כתבי בעל הסולם. את הספר ניתן להוריד באתר קבלה לעם, kab.co.il.
שלום, אנחנו קוראים בכתבי בעל הסולם עמוד הסולם.
Hello, we're reading from Kabbalah for the student, article The Teaching of Kabbalah and Its Essence, on page 39, Order of the Evolution of the Languages. You can ask questions on kab.tv. Order of the Evolution of the Languages. Within everything is a gradual development, and the easiest language to use is one whose development is completed before the others. Hence, the first products were in the language of the Bible, as it is the most convenient language and was prevalent at that time. Following it came the language of laws, since it is completely immersed in the language of the Bible, as well as because it was needed in order to show the people how to implement the laws. The third was the language of legends. Although it is found in many places in the Bible too, it is only as an auxiliary language because its wit rushes the perception of matters. However, it cannot be used as a basic language, as it lacks the precision of root and its branch. Thus, it was rarely used and hence did not develop. And even though legends were used extensively during the time of the Tanaim and the Amoraim, it was only in conjunction with the language of the Bible to open the words of our sages, Rabbi, started, etc., and other suffixes. In truth, expansive use of this language by our sages began after the concealment of the language of Kabbalah, during the days of Yochanan ben Zakkai, and soon before, meaning 70 years prior to the ruin of the temple. The last to evolve was the language of Kabbalah. This was so because of the difficulties in understanding it. In addition to attainment, one needs to understand the meaning of its words. Hence, even those who understood it could not use it, since for the most part they were alone in their generation and had no one with whom to study. Our sages called that language Maaseh Merkava, since it is a special language by which one can elaborate on the details of the herkev, of the composition of the degrees in one another, and not at all with any other.
All right, difficult for us to add something here because we don't know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about expressions that come from people who attain spirituality, and then in what language, in what form they can express their attainment. So he says there are 4 manners of expression here, and in all the forms, times, Kabbalists used them. What's left for our time, most likely, from all the languages used in the past, is the language of Kabbalah. And so, in our time, it is the most common and required because of the ripeness of the souls that feel it as more necessary. Certainly, it requires attainment of the person accordingly. But, in essence, according to the root of the soul that appears now, it turns out that the form of expression is most suitable for the soul. Because the souls are very broken, very far from the purpose on the one hand, and they need intensive care which only the wisdom of Kabbalah, only the language of Kabbalah can give them, and not the other languages that were common in those times because of that. We can say this, like he writes here, 70 years before the destruction of the temple and so forth. At the time when Israel was on their land, meaning they worked with their will to receive, processing it to be in order to bestow, then the language of legend, the language of the Bible, and the language of halacha were all used. But the moment they went to exile, meaning they have detached from discovering spirituality, then there's no more a matter of language. A language is not what I read in the book. Today as well, I can open the book of legends or the Bible or the Babylonian Talmud and read. It's a question of whether I attain spirituality, by what language do I attain, or what language do I use after I attain. That depends on my soul, because my soul is the kli, the vessel that I feel. The soul means the will to receive with the restriction, masach, or chozel, by which, by the screens, I attain connection with the godliness. And if I'm in previous generations or in the current generation, the last generation, there's a difference. In our generation, the souls who appear are those who better discover godliness and can clarify it with the language of Kabbalah. And all the previous languages were in use of Kabbalists, of those who attained godliness in the days before the destruction. That's it. So, it's not a language like Hebrew that you can read in a book. Language means the symbols of recognizing the Creator, the language with which you speak to the Creator. So, he explains to us here that the language of Kabbalah includes all the others, because it comes from the coarsest level of the souls that appear specifically now in our generation. The souls with the coarseness levels 1, 2, 3 that were related to the language of Bible, legend, halacha, they were souls that appeared before the ruin. And Kabbalists then used those languages according to the type of the soul. That's how I discover the Creator, how I communicate with the Creator, how I understand the Creator. A language is like computer code by which I take on a certain formatting, a certain connection between my pieces, the lights, the shimot, vessels, degrees, and so if it's on the third level or fourth level of coarseness, then accordingly the languages. When we talk about the fourth level of coarseness of the soul, then the language of Kabbalah is suitable for us. And with it, we discover the Creator and rearrange our vessels, the relationship between us and the Creator. So, it is the hardest language, the most inclusive language, which includes all the other languages, and we are supposed to use it into the future, all the way into the final correction. Questions? Yes.
In that case, what's the relation between the branch of that same language to the root of the same language? If I understand correctly, then the language is an inner form of communication, but there's also an external expression of it.
So the external expression, you read it in the book. You read in the book. You read a legend. What do you understand? Nothing. You read Babylonian Talmud. What do you understand? Nothing. What do you understand about halakha? Nothing too. In all of the scriptures, holy books, holy meaning in order to bestow, to the extent that you don't bestow, you don't understand anything.
Meaning also the language of Kabbalah we don't understand.
Of course not. It's an inner language, just like there's a language inside a computer, right? The same with the soul. Because the soul is comprised of 4 levels of coarseness. Each level has its own language.
So as soon as a person in our generation attains godliness, he connects with this quality only through the language of Kabbalah. Because now it's the generation of the level of coarseness on the language of Kabbalah.
Yes.
In addition, there's an external expression called the language of Kabbalah. We just read this now. But this is an external expression of that same language.
No, that's we just call it that way. Yeah, in our world, that's how we call it. When you read, let's say you read in the language of Kabbalah. Kabbalists don't relate to that. Kabbalists don't relate to what's printed. They're talking about an inner code that exists between you and the Creator. That's what's called a language.
But still they're telling me, you're in the last generation, in this generation, learn the language of Kabbalah.
Yes.
So there is some kind of intensity of the light.
There is.
So what's going on here?
Because externally as well, you're connected to it. You cannot... The fact that we are so coarse, that we won't discover behind the words of Agadah, Halacha, and Talmud, the Bible, you won't discover their spiritual discernments. You'll think it's just about what it's about. What do you think it's about? However, the language of Kabbalah, because we are so coarse that we cannot see anything in those other languages, then the language of Kabbalah as if speaks directly to what it's about, the connection between the will to receive and godliness.
Is it certain that whoever is in our generation can only connect to godliness through the language of Kabbalah?
Only. Not even just in our generation. Even from the destruction of the temple, which is 2,000 years ago. All those languages stopped working.
And still, what does a person who is reading now the external language, what does he discover when he connects to the internal language? What connection, relation does he find between the external form and his internal connection to it, where he says, this is the language of Kabbalah. I thought it was that external form. Now I find that it's an internal form. So what's the difference?
Just like you, when you read something, you think you understand something. This language takes you bit by bit into internality. Even though you read and correspondingly you have a small illumination, because even that Bchinat Daled is also comprised of root 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's an illumination that shines on you when you read the books of Kabbalah. But that illumination is capable of qualifying only the most external layer of the soul. Where does it say about it? It's written. And all the rest of the degrees of coarseness, you have to discover that by working in the group, in the study, in actions of bestowal, etc. Mitzvot don't. It says that mitzvot don't require intention, but only. Yeah. Okay, fine. Yes.
What does it mean to talk to the Creator?
Communicate with the Creator is a connection, communication that I have with the Creator in a way that, like we learn in tests or in anywhere else, of Viyut, by the Tzimtzum, Masach, or Chozer, we connect with the light influences, and that's it. Did you find it? Mitzvot don't require intention. Go ahead.
I think it's in the introduction to the book of Zohar, item 44, Baal Sulam. Before 13 years, there will be no revelation, but only a point in one's heart. And following 13 years, when he begins to engage in Torah and mitzvot, even without any intention, meaning without love and fear which is worthy of serving the king with, even not for the Creator's sake, the point in his heart begins to grow and show its actions, since mitzvot do not need an intention. Even the actions without an intention are capable of purifying his will to receive.
That's how it is. Next.
Page 40. Title: The language of Kabbalah is like any spoken language, and its preference is in the meaning contained within a single word. At first glance, the language of Kabbalah seems like a mixture of the three above-mentioned languages. However, one who understands how to use it will find that it is a unique language in and of itself, from beginning to end. This does not pertain to the words, but to their meanings. This is the whole difference between them. In the first three languages, there is almost no meaning to a single word, allowing the examiner to understand what that word implies. Only by joining a few words and sometimes issues can their content and meaning be understood. The advantage of the language in the language of Kabbalah is that each and every word in it discloses its content and meaning to the examiner in utter precision, no less than in any other human tongue. Each word carries its own precise definition and cannot be replaced with another.
We don't actually understand the difference between this and that, the languages, what he writes about. Well, we'll understand more. Let's move forward.
Title: Forgetting the Wisdom. Since the concealment of the Zohar, this important language has gradually been forgotten. As it was being used by fewer and fewer people. Also, there was a cessation of one generation where the receiving sage did not convey it to an understanding receiver. Ever since then, there has been an immeasurable deficit. You can evidently see that the Kabbalist Rabbi Moshe de Leon, who was the last to possess it, and by whom it appeared in the world, did not understand a word of it. This is because in those books where he introduces pieces of the book of Zohar, it is clear that he did not understand the words at all, as he interpreted it according to the language of the Bible. He confused the understanding completely, although he himself had a wonderful attainment, as his compositions demonstrate. So it was for generations. All the Kabbalists dedicated their entire lives to understanding the language of the Zohar, but could not find their hands and legs since they forced the language of the Bible on it.
Meaning that the matter of attainment and language does not equalize. It's a matter of presentation. That even though, like he says, the Kabbalist Moshe de Leon was a great Kabbalist with great attainment, but to transform it into a language he didn't know. It's like, for instance, you tell me to speak Polish. I can't. To express what I know in a certain language, I have to know the connection between the entire language and its codes to what I attain. And that is no longer there from the authors of the Zohar to this day.
Kabbalah of the Ari, page 41. This was so until the arrival of the unique Kabbalist, the Ari. His attainment was above and beyond any boundary, and he opened the language of the Zohar for us and paved our way in it. Had he not passed away so young, it is hard to imagine the amount of light that would be drawn out of the Zohar. The Litan we have been blessed with has paved a way and inlet and true hope that over the generations our understanding would grow to fully grasp it. Yet you must understand the reason why all the great sages who followed the Ari abandoned all the books that they compiled in this wisdom and in the commentaries on the Zohar, and nearly prohibited themselves even from being seen, and dedicated their lives to the words of the Ari. This was not because they did not believe in the sanctity of the sages preceding the Ari. God forbid that we should think so. Anyone with eyes in the wisdom could see that the attainment of those great sages in the wisdom of truth was immeasurable. Only an ignorant fool could doubt them. The logic in the wisdom followed the first. Although each language is true and fitting in its place, it is not completely fitting and quite misleading to understand the wisdom of Kabbalah contained in the Zohar using these orders. This is so because it is a completely different language since it was forgotten. For this reason, we do not use their explanations, either the explanations of Rabbi Moshe de Leon himself or his successors, as their words in interpreting the Zohar are not true. And to this day, we have but one commentator, the Ari. In light of the above, it follows that the internality of the wisdom of Kabbalah is none other than the internality of the Bible, the Talmud, and the legends. The only difference between them is in their explanations. This is similar to a wisdom that has been translated into 4 languages. Naturally, the essence of the wisdom has not changed at all by the change of the language. All we need to think of is which translation is the most convenient for conveying the wisdom to the student. So is the matter before us. The wisdom of truth, meaning the wisdom of revelation of godliness in His ways to the creatures, like secular teachings, must be passed on from generation to generation. Each generation adds a link to its former, and thus the wisdom evolves. Moreover, it becomes more suitable for expansion in the public. Hence, each sage must pass on to his students and to the following generations everything he has inherited in the wisdom from earlier generations, as well as the additions he himself has been rewarded with. Clearly, the spiritual attainment, as it is attained by the attaining, cannot be passed on to another, and all the more so be written in a book. This is so because spiritual objects cannot come in letters of the imagination whatsoever. And even though it's written, and by the ministry of the prophets have I used, it is not literally so.
It's understood, yeah? So language is a language. There's a matter of attainment and there's a matter of expression of what's attained. So the language is in order to properly express what is attained. What?
What's a language? What even is this language? The language itself, what is it?
Language is the ability to communicate an attainment from the one who attains to the one who's capable of receiving. And then that code, which the one who attains uses to clothe his attainment so as to communicate it to another, is called a language.
He writes here, but he understands how to use a language from beginning to end. So what is it? Is it behavioral? Is it
No.
what is it? Is it the approach?
It doesn't matter in what way you communicate it. Rather, you attain something, and what you attain, you wish to adapt it to another. And so the adaptation of your attainment to the other is called language.
Meaning there was a difference between the ancient primordial language and the one today, or was it the language always? How do you pass on the material?
There's a difference because the type of souls is different. The types of souls are different. Today, we're at a very different state. There used to be the destruction of the temple, meaning Israel were on a certain height, and then they fell. Until they fell, they were using all three languages, besides the last language of Kabbalah. Now, after the exile, the mixture of the souls, we have a new path from the time of Ari onwards. The language of Kabbalah is becoming active and starts being used, and only by that language we can clothe our attainment with a certain language and also convey them to a certain extent, to a certain degree, one to another, from teacher to student.
Meaning the relation between...
Relation, I don't know what you mean. I don't know whether that's not a word of Kabbalah. I don't know what you mean.
The work, what's the type of work of the language?
The kind of work is a common screen, masach.
Okay.
All right. What? Yes? What is it, Niv? No, not about the material. No, we don't have time. What do you want? Europe, yes.
We'll an update from the friends in Kazakhstan. We can get an example from them how important the success of the Congress is to them.
But I'm asking to be short.
Да, вас приветствует регион Урала, Сибири, Казахстана. Мы полностью...
So Ural, Sibir, and Kazakhstan, this entire area is congratulating you. We're all connected to the preparation for the Europe Congress. We're participating in work groups. We're really excited from everything that's happening in Europe. And we wanted to say There was a very special topic. Time, space, motion don't play any part for us. We'll be connected completely to everything that happens, and we wanted to announce the following. From this day onwards, all of the European groups updating and non-European groups, anything that's going to happen at all between the tens. Not that every 10 will go and stand up and talk about the importance of the 10, what we're doing, no. But from the connection between the 10s, this will take place. The Chaim.
משימה יומית, פיטר.
Daily task from Peter.
Peter, daily task. Peter Group.
The daily task. Every friend shows an example of yearning for connection in the 10. At the end of the day, the friends scrutinize to what extent did this succeed. Again, every friend shows an example of yearning for a connection in the 10. At the end of the day, friends scrutinize between them to what extent did this succeed. Daily task was prepared by the Kazakhstan group. Two announcements to conclude. Friends, the first one is relevant to the Petach Tikva group. Throughout the day, you'll be sent your new 10s. Please make sure you know who your 10 is. Tomorrow morning, we will sit in our new 10s. The friend in the file that his name is highlighted in yellow is the 10 secretary. Please make sure he's aware of it. Any questions, reach out to unity.chevra@gmail.com. You're all invited to watch the Zohar lesson daily at 6 p.m. Israel time. Thank you to our viewers. Have a good day. Together in the Academy, a special first degree happening. You're all invited. Friday, 10 to 12:30 a.m. Israel time. Let's watch a clip.
Together in the Academy. It's first of all studying a wide diversity, if it's from economics to sociology to history. Study new things, very relevant. The material connects to our life, to the connection between us. You simply create connections and friendships for life. There's a very big difference between going to study personally and such a route that you approach together as a group. This support reveals a lot of power and energy in the person. This experience of togetherness turns the degree into something easy and fun and totally different. Beyond the fact that everyone's teaching the other, beyond the fact that everyone supports the other, together we go through all the study and all the material in a simple, easy way. It empowers you and brings everyone to success. There's this network of mutual guarantee between us. If I were able to take this model today and shut down universities as they are and reopen them according to that model, I would do it tomorrow morning.
אשרי הנער שהשכיל לשמוע בקול רב, בקול רבו. אשרי הנער שהשכיל לשמוע בקול רב, בקול רבו. אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו. אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו.
אשרי הטף והזקן, כנף שכינה יחד תחבקם, אשרי יתך והזקן. כנף שכינה יחד תחבקם, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו.
אשרי בת מלך שזכתה לשלום בית ושלווה, אשרי בת מלך שזכתה לשלום בית ושלווה, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו.
אשרי בניו אשרי בנותיו להם רואה ונאמן, אשרי בניו אשרי בנותיו להם רואה ונאמן, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו, אשרי העם שככה לו, אור הזוהר יורד דרכו.